Whoa.
Likes that guy? What's wrong with that?
The City of Marine City Commission meeting is called to order on Thursday, May 18th, 2023 at 7 p.m. We have a moment of silence to send our positive thoughts and prayers to those in our community that need our support. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I get roll call, please?
Sure. Commissioner Bryson.
Here.
Commissioner Hendrick.
Here.
Commissioner Hillfrank.
Yep.
Commissioner Clausen.
Here.
Commissioner Rourke.
Here.
Commissioner Ross.
Here.
Mayor Vandenbosch.
Here.
City Manager Atkins.
Here.
Okay, moving on to item 4, approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with one amendment, adding 6A, a letter for the new DPW position candidate.
Support.
Okay, I have a motion and a support on the amendment. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Hey, item 5, public comment. Anyone is welcome to address the city commission. Please state your name, limit your comments to 5 minutes. The commission will not respond, but we will follow up as necessary. Anybody? Sir?
I have a question. Dominic Berlowski, 5850 Plank Road. I just have one question. The water bills, the delinquent water bills, if the delinquent water bills are put on the summer taxes or the winter taxes, why is there still shut-off notices sent out to the people?
All right, that,
If you'd like me
something
to
that
answer.
you could,
Well,
So what?
Or should we-
What do you mean, why is there shut-off notices sent?
Yeah, the water bills are put on the taxes, that means that the water bills are paid. So why do they still send out, go to shut the water off?
All right,
Does the
sir.
city need that much money that they?
Sir, could you please go up to the podium, please? The public comments will be at the podium, then they're videoing it. No, they're videoing it so the people at home
Yes,
can see. Here.
I didn't bring my gun. Okay, who's gonna answer that?
I was just
Or,
we may take multiple answers.
okay.
It's the way it's laid out in the ordinance.
Huh?
By the ordinance, it requires that notices are given for shut-offs. Shut-offs were only delayed during a COVID order and were reinstated. The city has always sent shut-off notices. They hadn't been done for several years because of COVID restrictions that didn't allow municipalities to do shut-offs. So again, we're giving every effort for a person to be able to pay their delinquent bills before a shut-off. They do get placed in the taxes, but in the ordinance, it does authorize the city for shut-off.
I understand that, but that wasn't my question. My question was, why are you shutting the water off if it goes on my taxes and therefore the water is paid?
Usually the ones that go on the taxes are the uncollectible ones. So,
Well, I mean, that's a delinquent or non-paid water bill, so it's not paid on the date. So then why are you shutting their water off when the bill is theoretically paid when you put the water bill on the taxes?
well, just so you know, there's nothing been put on the taxes yet. There's not been a resolution brought before the commission to add any to the.
Well, I got a letter that says that,
It says that it would go on there, but that doesn't mean that it's been prepared yet. They are doing that in addition, in case probably if they can't collect it, they can collect it through the tax.
well, they've always had that in Marine City. If the water bills aren't paid when the taxes are due, they put the water bill on those taxes. But they never put it on the summer taxes. It's always been total in the winter taxes.
No, it's been summer.
Well, I never got a summer tax, but always somebody didn't pay it and it counted on the winter taxes. I paid the taxes and I paid that water bill that was due to the county. And there was never any mention of shutting off the water bill. Shutting off the water after that bill was put on the taxes.
Okay, just so you know, no bill has been put on the taxes yet.
Right, I know that.
Won't go till summer.
So you're not gonna do that?
Do what?
Shut the water off if the if the water bill goes on the taxes?
That's correct, for that amount.
Yeah,
Now, if it gets delinquent again,
it'll go on the winter taxes.
no, we never put them on winter, it's only summer, and they will shut them off. So let's say there's a $500 bill sitting out there, and you didn't get shut off, we can't collect it, we said, okay, we're gonna put that $500 bill on the taxes. Then the next billing cycle goes, and they go delinquent. Now that COVID has been, that restriction from shutting us off has been relieved, they will start shutting off again like we did in the past. I know just before I retired, there was very few going on the taxes because most of them were collected through.
Right, I never had any problem until this time when I heard, and I was told that by the clerk here, if it wasn't paid, that it would go on the taxes.
Correct.
So I'm wondering, and the water be shut off. So my only question is why would you shut the water off if the taxes are paid and the water bill is paid?
But it's just for that dollar amount.
Yes, for that dollar amount. Any other amount goes to the next one. If they don't pay it, they get shut off notice. That's a given.
Technically, these would have already been shut off if it hadn't been for that COVID restriction. So the tax issue, I mean, I understand what you're saying there, but in a normal set of circumstances, the water would have already been shut off unless a payment was made. So there's been an extra amount of time that's been granted to be able to have it deferred on the taxes, but there's likely two pieces of delinquency, and I have to look at your specific issue. There's a delinquency that's been, in some cases, back to 2020 on a number
No,
of
Oh, I don't
these
have any of
accounts.
that. I don't go back.
And then
I'm just
there's
talking one
current delinquency.
quarter.
Yeah.
If it's not paid in that quarter and the taxes are coming due and it doesn't pay that amount of money at that particular time, goes on the taxes. And yet, you're gonna go in and shut the water off. My question too, and you still haven't answered it, is why would you do that?
Did you get a notice to have it put on the to put on the summer taxes? Did you get a notice saying that X amount of dollars was going on the summer?
No, I was told that by our
Yeah.
city clerk.
So the only notices, sir, for those that are significantly delinquent, and we're talking some that go back to 2020, during that COVID
Well,
time.
of course,
21,
I'm not
22.
stupid.
So a regular bill, somebody would get a notice on, they wouldn't be shut off. I mean, there's two separate issues. This is not a normal, where somebody forgot to pay their taxes. These are seriously delinquent accounts that go back a number of years.
So maybe because
Well, if
we're,
we
hey,
go-
excuse me, maybe because we're in public comment, which is supposed to be a one-way, Rudy had said something brilliant a while ago. Can we assign you someone to meet with on this at a regular time during the day?
Oh, yeah, you can if you want. I was just answering for one question.
No, we understand, but public comment, we're not supposed to be in this dialogue.
Oh, didn't know that.
Sir, if you leave a phone number afterwards, I'll be glad to reach out to you, because there's two different issues here, and we'll try to clear it up for you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, there are two issues.
Rudy Machaca, 315 Westminster. I'm trying to keep this brief. I'm here to talk on three initiatives. Number one is the marijuana issue. These are all my personal thoughts and feelings. I don't think this whole thing is good for our community. Why do I say that? 44 years in mental health as a therapist for mental illness and chemical dependency. In those years, I've treated many patients and clients, men, women, children, of all ages and all races. Of those, 85 to 90% reported that they started on marijuana. Out of those same people, at one time or another, they told me, quote, "I wish I had never smoked that joint when I was a younger kid." Or, "I got that weed from my sister, my brother, my father, or my sister, or my dad, or my mother." Ladies and gentlemen, marijuana is a gateway to other drugs, believe it or not. It's been proven, it's in the medical journals. But recently, we've been seeing something here that I know when I started working in this field years ago, was never noticed. That patients and clients are coming in with no mental health history who use marijuana, with a diagnosis of schizophrenia, and that's also part of public record. Marijuana today is not the same as it was in the 60s. Look in other communities, if they wanted that, that's okay. Let them do it. But I would say to you, don't let it come into our community. The other thing I want to bring up, that social district for alcohol, that's another no-winner. And I know you've done a lot of work on this, but I think it's the wrong way to go. Mike brought up in that last meeting, what are you going to do if somebody buys a beer and they walk away and go to the area, and there's a 19 and a 20-year-old, and he gives them the thing, what are you going to do? The answer was the ordinance and all that. Well, you know what? I got news for you. I walked through the little beach for the children there, and in the summertime, when it's real busy, I watch adults take the beer can or the beer bottle and they put it in, I don't know, what do you call them?
Koozie.
But you can't see it, you know, and some will psh, and continue drinking. So we know that that's just not going to happen. I wish you would reconsider and do not allow that in our town. I mean, you got a tavern, that's what the tavern's for. The one facility or the one bar, they opened up upstairs. Man, I was so happy for them and everything. Which brings me to the third issue. They can't build a boat on the sidewalk. A liner. And I watched this lady come with her child and tries to get through. And now she gets through the little bit that's open. I can't get through because I got to wait. Or else they're out there smoking. Today I went by and there were some people smoking. And I asked them, and I said, do you know that you can't smoke even where you're at? Because it's part of the establishment. So I went on, you know, but I just think that between the sandwich boards and social and that's not where we should go with our children in our community. I guess I want to leave you with this thought. Do you know what the #1 drug is in the United States and kills more people? It's not heroin, it's not fentanyl, it's alcohol. It's readily available. So if you open it up there, look, I'm telling you my personal feelings, my professional knowledge on this whole thing. I think it's the wrong way to go. It's just not good for Marine City. I don't care what other people did. There are people in this community who I treated their children or treated them. I mean, it's just St. Clair and all this and that. I mean, it's up to you. I think that if you open it up like marijuana and alcohol, you're making it more readily available. I would like, rather, let's work on our streets, getting businesses in here, so that people will come and say, hey, Marine City's this and that, but they don't allow this and that, the marijuana use and all those things. I just think it's better for this community, folks. So I just hope you reconsider, and I'm asking you, not telling you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Then moving on to communications. I have a motion to receive and file.
Make a motion to receive and file the communication regarding the DPW candidate.
Support.
Okay, a motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Under item 7, approval of the minutes. Can I have a motion to approve the city commission meeting minutes of May 4th, 2023?
So moved. Support.
Motion and a support. Any discussion?
Yes. Page 4, paragraph 5. The social district map actually reflects what we had discussed, which I thought was not excluding the park in that area. So it's the, that's what you brought up, Mike, that how are you gonna enforce the, you know, between the two buildings? And we had discussed that it would indeed be contiguous through there. When we agreed that, hey, the sidewalk on the south side should be included, it was universally agreed, yeah, we can look at that. And then the attorney brought up that we could review it in 90 days and then annually thereafter. So I just wanted to clarify that it was not just the sidewalk, but rather the entirety of the, they call it Eddy Park, but, you know, right by the lighthouse there.
So what are you asking for?
Just, well, it's the sidewalk along the length of the river. I did ask for that, that's
Yep.
true, but it appears as though we only included the sidewalk when both the map indicates and the verbiage doesn't seem to indicate that we actually decided to include that entire park.
So you're just looking for the change in the wording to say the entirety of the park?
Yes.
It's Lighthouse Park, right? Isn't that what it's called
Kids
officially?
call it Eddy, but
Yeah,
I
I
don't,
think it's officially Lighthouse Park.
so if we could use that verbiage, the sidewalk along the length of the river as well as Lighthouse Park and the memorials, because that's what we were discussing as well.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Yes, one more, sorry. Then page 6, first paragraph. So I checked with both Mike and I rewatched my training, which was a Plant Moran guy. But just for the benefit of the public, so the rate increase, that does contribute in part, yes, to treating the water and the chemicals and everything else, but it also can be used for improvements. So I just want to make sure that that is understood by the public. It's not only for buying fluoride and chlorine and things like this and the process of treating it. It's also to save for projects and line replacements and things like this. Ready to Serve is only for that and in particular for turn-ons and turn-offs and things that the DPW may or may not need to do to that.
Well, processing the water includes all that. I don't think there's anything, you know, I don't know.
I thought we were supposed to do that before.
So rather than read, I mean, it's not just for processing the water. It is also for banking and replacing lines and things for the future. So I just want the public to understand that this rate increase is not just, you know, the processing the water didn't all of a sudden get more expensive, but we need to be saving
Well,
for our,
Yeah, it does include all that. It's not just, well, I claim it as processing the water, but that includes all the other things with it, okay, plus the ready to serve fees. Because there are a lot of things that they have to do, testing and all the other stuff. So I don't see that there's any big issue with it.
well, the rate increase can specifically be,
Yeah, but this is what
Spend.
was said at the meeting. The rate increase goes in every year. I think, yeah, I think we get to you know, overthink these things a little bit. It's,
So you're just clarifying?
I just want to clarify that, yeah, it's not, it's not
versus
just
a
for the
change.
processing of the water. It can be used for upgrades.
yes, but that's in addition to what happened at the meeting, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, so
I
you're,
understand what you're saying, Brian, but this is what was said at the meeting.
That's
And now
true.
you're trying to clarify and change what we said at the meeting, is what I'm saying.
Kind of, because I want the public to understand that, you know.
But you can't.
So, well, I can make an amendment to just say that I'd approve the minutes with the,
But you're changing what happened at the meeting, is what I'm trying to tell you.
but
Can we
if
discuss
an
this
incorrect
at the
statement is
public hearing?
made, if an incorrect statement is made, then it should be clarified and corrected, right?
so you don't want to change the wording, just clarifying versus changing the wording of what she said?
I think it's important that the people understand that
Okay.
we're not, just the cost of treating water isn't increasing by this. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna suggest, you could just say, I mean, I'm not
Yeah,
suggesting you change it, but if you wanna explain it to the public, The actual rate increase, the 2.5%, is for operating revenue, which encompasses
Correct.
everything.
Yes.
The water plants,
Yes.
the infrastructure, everything. The ready to serve is strictly for capital improvement.
Right, strictly only, yeah.
Okay. All right, so we have the motion to approve with the change about the sidewalk, the social district, to include the Lighthouse Park and Memorial Park.
Correct.
And we're not changing any of the other wording, but you're just clarifying what that meant when the discussion.
Yeah.
On the first page, could you correct my name? 1, 2.
Yeah.
It's under approve agenda, it's the second
Nedrick.
paragraph.
And then-
My last name, please.
Opposite day that day. Didn't we mention before that it's policy for these requests, and I'm not saying this against you at all, Brian, but these requests should be made a week beforehand?
Yep.
Yep.
Let's reiterate
No,
that.
it is not in the policies and procedures manual that they have to be made beforehand. It's in the policies, it's preferred, that's true, but it is in the policies and procedures manual that you have to, you can't just go, this is no good. You have to say, this particular verbiage I feel is misleading, whatever, doesn't accurately capture it, and then make a suggestion specific to the replacement verbiage. That's what's in the policies and procedures manual.
Well, just for the sake of not having 3-hour meetings every single time, we gotta start whittling down some of this stuff. Having 15-minute conversations about a wording in minutes is just,
Yeah.
it's mind-numbing.
Yeah.
Now,
right,
couldn't we
so-
I
discuss it?
apologize. I want the public to understand.
But we have a public hearing for it later in the meeting.
Okay.
You can re-describe it there.
Yeah.
but-
That's fine.
All right. So we have a motion, support, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. All right, on the consent agenda, we have item A, the Marine City Area Fire 30 Run Report. B, the Departmental Activity Monthly Report. C, business license for Tom Kephart Communications LLC. D, the business license for the Painted Toad. E, the business license for VJ Car Wash and Lube LLC. F, the special event parade for the Memorial Day Parade. G, the special event permit for the Marine City High School, Box City. And H, the special event permit for the Marine City Festival Music in the Park. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Make a motion, we approve the consent agenda, letters A through H.
Support.
Motion and support, any discussion? All in, no, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Bryson,
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick,
Yes.
Commissioner Hillfrank,
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Rourke,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Mayor Vandembosch.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, item 9 on financial business. Have expenditures including payroll in the amount of $98,228.75. Can I have a motion? The expenditures including payroll in the amount of $98,228.75.
Make a motion, we approve the expenditures including payroll for $98,228.75.
Support?
Motion and support, any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Hendrick,
Yep.
Commissioner Hillfrank,
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Rourke,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Mayor Vandembosch,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, 9B, the preliminary financial statements. Can I have a motion to receive and file the preliminary financial statements?
So moved. Support.
A motion and support, any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. And now we're on to item 9C for the public hearing on the 23-24 fiscal year budget. A notice is hereby given that the Marine City City Commission will conduct a public hearing at 7:24 PM to receive public comments on the 23-24 fiscal year budget. Please limit comments to 3 minutes. Anybody like to speak on the budget? Anyone like to speak? Third time, anybody like to speak? Okay. Public hearing is declared closed at 7:25. And now for the resolution 1123 for the 2023 Budget Appropriations Act. Can I get a motion to approve the resolution 11/2023 for the 23-24 budget appropriations?
Make a motion that we approve resolution number 112023, the resolution to adopt fiscal year 2023-24 Budget Appropriations Act.
Support.
Okay, a motion and a support. Any other discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Hilfrank.
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Commissioner Rourke.
Yes.
Commissioner Ross.
Yes.
Mayor Vandenbosch.
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson.
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick.
Yep.
Motion carried.
Okay. Now, resolution 1223 for the special assessment for delinquent accounts. A motion to approve resolution 12/2023, special assessment for delinquent accounts.
I make a motion, we approve resolution number 012-20230.
Support?
Okay, motion and a support. Any discussion?
This is the water billing that, right here, that we're approving for the delinquent accounts, just so you know.
But from 2020 delinquent accounts, not.
Yes, these are old ones.
Old and
but they're there.
significant, yes.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Commissioner Rourke.
Yes.
Commissioner Ross.
Yes.
Mayor Vandenbosch.
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson.
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick.
Yep.
Commissioner Hilfrank.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. Now we're on to item 9F, public hearing for the water sewer rate public hearing. A notice is hereby given that the City Commission will conduct a public hearing at 7:27. Receive comments on the water sewer rate change for the 23-24 fiscal year. Please limit comments to 3 minutes. Anybody like to speak? No? Anybody? For a third time? Okay. Public hearing is declared closed at 7:28. All right, under item 10A, unfinished business, ordinance 23. I think I got a 02 for the water sewer rate change, second reading and adoption. Can I get a motion to approve and adopt ordinance 2023-002, water and sewer rate increase at 2.5% and $1 increase on each meter for ready-to-serve water and sewer?
I make a motion, we approve ordinance number 2023-002, the water and sewer rate increase for second reading and adoption.
Support.
Right, motion and a support, any discussion?
Again, just to reiterate, the percentage increase can be used to purchase infrastructure, and the ready-to-serve fees are, again, only to support infrastructure and turn on, turn off.
Right, any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Rourke.
Yes.
Commissioner Ross.
Yes.
Mayor Vandenbosch.
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson.
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick.
No.
Commissioner Hilfrank.
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, moving on to 10B, the social district discussion.
So following your guidance from the last meeting, you have a newly drafted resolution 008-2023, along with a City of Marine City Social District Management and Maintenance Plan, along with a City of Marine City Social District Operating Agreement, a map created by our ever-talented interim clerk, along with a redesigned social district logo. And then I think also included in the package was a draft of what could appear on your website to promote and/or advertise your social district and at the same time explain the rules. The only action needed to move forward on this is the approval of the resolution, the map, and the management and maintenance plan.
I have a question. Where's our figures for the signs and how many and where they're gonna be? I haven't seen anything.
Well, we didn't get those finalized because we need you to vote on the map first. So each sign, I think, was relatively inexpensive. You created more continuity in your map now, so we're not sure how many signs are gonna be necessary. So I called the state and they said, well, the local government determines the adequacy of the signage. The only guidance they give is that the signage has to be adequate to direct the users of the commons area to know where they're at and where they're allowed to consume a social district cup of libations.
Okay, what is relatively inexpensive? It's different to everybody.
Like,
100, 200?
These would be minor signage, they wouldn't have to meet any criteria, so Mike had thought they would be perhaps under $100 a sign.
Okay.
Because they're purely directional, they're not like, your regulated stop signs or no parking
They don't have
signs.
to list the ordinance or anything like that?
No,
There'll be even, there'll be a second tier of signs, so when you have the delineated areas, if this is approved, then you'll have smaller signs, which again are much cheaper, $25, $30 realm that'll say, A, B, C, as we go through the areas or the park pieces. I think we had talked about that, or the direction of commission was last time. In addition to the signs delineating the district, the social, the allowable areas will be delineated with the smaller signs, so people know this is the pocket area.
What happens when we have like an event where they're selling liquor in a park?
the event trumps.
But it doesn't say that in here.
Yes, it does.
Where? Can you tell me? I didn't find it.
Hang on.
I saw the smoking.
God, Lisa, I know it's in here.
Yeah, I was trying to, I only found the one area on the alcohol and I didn't see it in there. I saw the furnishing, signing, trash. I know we talked about it, but
Yeah, I know it's in there.
Is it number 2, operation unless otherwise permitted by the city of Marine City and MLCC?
Well, that is what we ended up, and then if you look at number 9 on the operating agreement, where the city is the licensor, the licensee is not allowed to provide alcohol beverages for consumptions in the commons area should the licensor, which is you, approve a special event that includes the sale of alcohol beverages. See it on number 9, Lisa?
okay, well, this is our operating agreement, but I didn't see it in the other description. I just want to make sure that when we, if you're going to put this out, and you're going to put out this other piece that says how it works, that needs to be included in there.
You want that on the website distribution?
Well, sure, because otherwise, this is just an agreement, but who's going to see that? You know what I'm saying? That rule isn't in there. My problem with this is going to be enforcement. I think it's gonna be really, really hard to enforce. Another one somebody asked me is if they went into one of these facilities and can they purchase for other people?
No.
Okay, so strictly they have to come in and buy for
Yeah, and
themselves or?
it- and
I
it's,
thought that was actually covered in this one per person.
yeah, and it's cup specific, if you will.
All right, well, I just wanna ask the question.
Right.
But again, I think once we start this, it's gonna be hard to ever change it back. And I think everybody's gonna, I think Rudy's right, they're gonna start taking advantage of some of this as it already happens. And it's gonna be very difficult for our police department to enforce this. You know, cause they're spread too thin now. I just don't see how we're gonna enforce this.
When the police chief was talking on this, did he say this is easier to enforce than the park ordinance?
Yes.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
you ask some of the officers and they'll tell you that it's gonna be kinda pretty hard to. And I see the smoking regulations, did you see that? That's still in there?
No, I did not. Where is
All
that?
smoking-
That was my next question.
That was page 2, go all the way to 11, at the very beginning of this thing here,
Which,
where go to
yeah, page 2 of that, number 11.
Where are you at, Lisa?
number 11, it says all smoking regulations apply in the social district and common areas,
Right. So.
which
what-
means we have no smoking in the park.
Whatever, yeah, I changed that to be whatever is already on the book still applies.
Right, this doesn't add to it.
On our books?
Yeah,
Yes, or state law.
I mean, the state law is inside smoking, correct? And this is still considered outside, or does the social district?
Well, I
not
think
consider it
the
inside?
state law also regulates smoking within a certain distance
From
of
doors.
the door of.
Yeah.
Right,
Right.
yeah, I'm not
and you can't
Overly-
smoke inside, actually.
overly concerned with the 25 feet, and beyond that, does this interfere with beyond 25 feet? of smoking?
No, all smoking regulations apply in the Marine City District and so if they apply, they apply. If they don't apply, then you're fine.
Okay, yeah. I
Should
just-
we add the word state and local? Would that make it more clear to you?
I mean, I don't really, it doesn't really matter to me. It's just, I know it was mentioned at the last thing that it was some sort of state requirement to have social districts, non-smoking. So if that's not the case, then I have nothing to worry about.
Right?
Okay. Anybody else?
Would it make sense to put in the ordinance the revisiting times? That we shall, I mean, in the motion, it could be there, but we had discussed in the last meeting, and it was reflected in the minutes, that we would, review it at 90 days and then review annually. Again, perhaps it's fine just stating that in the motion.
It was in here. I know you had it in here about the 90 days.
So if you look at page 5
I apologize.
of the management plan, the management and maintenance plan shall be reviewed
Yep. Upon the expiration of the 90 days.
90 days from the initial opening and then annually thereafter.
I apologize.
Yeah, I just think though, you open it up, it makes it harder to try to stop it if it's not working out.
And do we have the wording to change the ordinances for the parks and whatever for drinking?
2 ordinances.
There's 2 ordinances we have to change. We have to change the chief's ordinance on open intox, and we have to change the park ordinance. That would come after. So the next step in this process would be simply to forward these documents to the state. Thereafter, the next move is on your 2 facilities to do what, to apply to us to be the first 2 facilities. If they don't apply, then it's kind of over. But, you have to open the door for people to apply. Our next step is just to get this to the state, and it gets on the system, and we don't do anything else.
So approving the next step, approving the resolution, that just gets it to the state.
The resolution goes up, the management plan goes up, your map goes up.
Okay. And then, but we're still not locked in until we go through the application process, they get approvals
Correct.
and everything. Okay.
Which logo did we decide on? They're
Well,
both super cool.
I think Lisa, or somebody had made a good point that when we had social and district side by side, it was starting to span too much of the cup. So we stacked it
So
instead
this
of,
is, yeah, this is the, as Rita suggested, one.
right.
I apologize.
And then we
the
have the
round one.
lighthouse, right?
But then Michelle created the,
I know, they're both, I know.
You will not hurt my feelings if you choose hers.
I,
Trust me,
I didn't want to get in between the clerk and Michelle.
hers is far better.
I mean, I kind of like Michelle's better, but I don't want to say that in front of the clerk.
No offense.
even though he
taken.
just did,
Oh,
just said it,
is he here?
there's no filter on his inner monologue.
Right.
Anyway, no, just, but we should decide. We shouldn't have multiple logos. That's all I'm saying, right? We have to send this to the state. It has to have the
Well, the logo
correct
does,
logo on it,
yeah,
Just look,
on the map.
we don't, yes. So we should,
So that, I
yes.
just don't want there to be some sort of bounce back from the state with what the hell's these two logos, you know?
That logo. That logo.
I like Jason's better.
I like the ship, yeah.
And again, 5 minutes, and mine took me 2 days, so
I like.
I would vote for
like
Michelle's too.
Jason, No,
Use your good eye.
Okay. So generally agreed on Michelle's, and again, no slight. I dug yours. And then, so we'd need to replace that on the map, and then they'd be contiguous with what had been proposed for the website. And then Commissioner Hendrick, what was it that you want added to the website? Just so we're,
About the events, making
right,
it clear.
yes.
that part should be in there, yes.
We can
So we
add,
just
we can add
add,
a sentence, Commissioner, onto that, just saying that any special event permit would supersede,
yes,
or something
Yeah.
similar.
you know, like note, asterisk, whatever.
It's just interesting that, you know, we're gonna allow them, they can have seating, they can have furnishings, they can put planters up, they can do anything in any of these common areas, correct?
Where does it say that?
Well, furnishings,
Paragraph.
page 3, your furnishings. Seating tables, the permit holders shall be sole responsibility for that. They can put,
Well, but they have to comply with all the requirements, codes, and regulations.
but are we talking in the common areas?
Yeah, it's just not,
So in the park? So they could put something in the park if they wanted to.
yeah, but we're talking about, you know, they have to meet the requirements of the city of Marine
I
City.
understand that, but still,
Municipal approval, right?
Right.
yeah. I don't know. We already have so much stuff.
They can contact the city for necessary reviews, municipal approvals, permits, drawn maps showing areas where tables and chairs might be placed. I mean, they have to get approval. It comes to you.
Yeah, it's no different than any other event.
Yeah, it comes to you.
Well, no, the outside, the businesses lately has not been coming to us, and they're getting approved.
Well, I'm just saying.
So that's why I'm asking.
In here, it contemplate, well, not, doesn't contemplate, it specifically calls
All right,
for municipal approval.
yeah. I just think with all these, pretty much all of our facilities uptown have outside seating. I guess I don't know why they'd want to chase people out to go drink in the park and not stay there and drink and spend more money in the building. I just think this is not, this isn't gonna end well. My opinion.
Okay, any other
Well-
discussion?
You can always, you know, we're not on a deadline for this, so, and, you know, if you feel like you need more time to think about it, take your time.
Yeah, I'll just reiterate again. I mean, to me, it's like I'd like to see this part of a bigger plan. I mean, as far as the pros versus cons, just this and for the bars, I'm not sure that really makes sense for me personally. But I do like the idea for future plans.
I mean, I think we're going through our master plan as part of the update and with the 90-day review and then annually, reviewing it annually. I feel like we're reasonably well protected. Again, the police chief wanted us to sunset the open intox ordinance as soon as possible. You know, he's not a fan of that, and this was, again, his request to have something more manageable and more viable. Again, if, Lisa, you talked to the officers and they were not for it,
Well, they just thought it was gonna be hard to enforce,
okay.
period.
I mean, again, Jim
Pretty much
kept
gonna be,
reiterating-
you know, it'd be kinda non-existent, and that's my concern. I mean, yeah, you can review it in 90 days, and in 90 days you decide whatever, and now you gotta try to stop it. That means you gotta take all the signs down, and you gotta take all the stuff, and then you gotta re-educate everybody now that they can't drink again versus whether they could. All I'm saying is it can create a real problem for you. So, I don't necessarily think they need it, seeing how only 2 of the facilities
Well, no,
showed
that's
any
all,
interest versus all.
No,
that's all that was required to sponsor.
We had to seek out 2 that would be willing to
Right.
sponsor
Yeah.
the program. That doesn't mean that that's all that are interested.
So just one good example why this could be good. Music in the park, you get a drink across the street, you go across the street, you enjoy the music with the drink in your hand. I would like to see movies in the park as well.
I would say probably most people are doing this anyway. Based
Well-
on
I don't
Rudy's,
gotta worry about getting busted for it.
but again, everybody does it in the beach, and that beach says no drinking, and that's even cut out of this, and it still happens. and-
I see a
Pretty
lot of
hard to
people
enforce.
drinking that brand, it's like Yeti, it's called Yeti.
Yeah,
Anyway,
Okay,
right.
let's move on to.
All the
Did you have
social
something?
districts I've been
Don't
to
put that
have
in the
been very
paper.
well managed
Yeah.
and, you know, again, I think this is a great first step. We've been able to enjoy ourselves in several and outside of Shorts, in Port Huron. They've been well managed and it seems, I haven't seen any trouble, at least the times that I have been.
they got a bigger police force, and they've also dedicated police officers for their social district. They put in more money in their budget. So
Port
that's
Huron
why-
did?
Yeah.
Yeah, Aaron's done well. Okay, moving on to item 10C for Resolution 008, 2023 for the social district. Can I get a motion to approve Resolution 008, 2023, designate a social district containing defined common areas, adopt a management and maintenance plan in order to allow certain on-premise liquor licenses, expanded use of shared areas for consumption of alcohol pursuant to Act 124 of 2020.
Moved as stated.
Support.
Okay, motion and support. And any additional discussion on the resolution?
Was that sufficient, Bob, for a resolution or do we need to
gotta
state
say
the
the
number again or?
No, I think you're fine.
All right, and again, this resolution pushes it to the state. Those businesses still have to apply, get approval, and this doesn't lock us in for this, to approve this resolution, correct, Bob?
You are creating, you're taking the step to notify the state of your social district. But the social district isn't implemented until the facilities become regulated licensees in your community.
What's the turnaround time on applications?
Well, the applications for the business,
Yeah, they gotta apply with the
State.
state and they gotta wait on them, I'm assuming.
yeah, I don't know, Mike.
Not sure.
It didn't seem to be taking very long elsewhere.
I would hope not, because if we're gonna get a nice trial of this thing, we gotta get it going.
Yeah.
But, yeah, because summer could be
Summer
here
would make
someday.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Mayor Vandembosh,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson,
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick,
Nope.
Commissioner Helfrank,
Yeah.
Commissioner Clausen,
No.
Commissioner Rourke,
No,
motion carried.
Okay, on to item 10D. Resolution 13, 2023, for the equitable distribution of remaining county ARPA funds. Can I get a motion to approve Resolution 13, 2023, requesting the St. Clair County Board of Commissioners to consider equitable distribution of remaining American Rescue Plan Act, also known as ARPA funds, to local units of government? And in transparency, my husband is a county commissioner.
I'll make a motion, we approve resolution number 013-2023.
Support.
Okay, have a motion and support. Any discussion?
I just like to say, I mean, I like the wording of this resolution. It's very neutral, it's too positive. I mean, it's not confrontational, it's not, I'm out to get you. So, I mean, I really like this.
I agree.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Before-
Bryson.
Before you do that,
Sorry.
could the motion maker ask or add that the city be given the authority to communicate this resolution to the county commissioners?
I will amend my motion for city attorney's comments.
Do you re-support?
Yeah.
Okay. We have amended motion and a re-support.
Commissioner Bryson,
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick,
Yes.
Commissioner Hillfrank,
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen,
No.
Commissioner Rourke,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
No.
Mayor Vandembosch.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, on to 10E, public hearing regarding drinking water state revolving fund project plan. Notice is hereby given that the city commission will conduct a public hearing at 7:51 to receive public comments on the drinking water state revolving project plan. Please limit comments to 3 minutes.
And Mayor, we do have a representative here to give a brief presentation as part of this, which may spur some questions from the public if you'll allow a representative from Fleece and Vanderbrink.
Oh, absolutely.
Good evening. Good to see you again. Chris Hennessy, Fleece and Vandenbrink Engineering.
Excuse me, could you speak up a little?
Let me move the mic just a little bit, and is that better? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Chris Hennessy, Fleece and Vandenbrink Engineering. Thank you for having me here this evening. What I'm planning to do is present on the project plan that you're going to be submitting to Eagle for your drinking water state revolving fund. If you recall, I was here a couple months ago speaking on the same subject. Passed out the PowerPoint. This is a summary and covers the topics that Eagle requires before you submit your project plan. The first slide I wanted to mention found in your project plan is there were 4 alternatives that were proposed, and those were found on page 11 of the project plan. Alternative 4 was selected, which is essentially your water system improvements. And included in those are both water main replacement and looping. Just under 38,000 feet of 8-inch and 12-inch mains, as well as 4 and 6-inch mains, as well as looping to eliminate dead ends to help with water quality are going to be included in the project plan. I just wanted to highlight, actually on page 2 of the appendix, if you have that project plan in your, I don't know if it's included in the materials. Nonetheless, you have, just for example, some of these being replaced on Westminster that was installed in 1938, South Water from the water plant to Jefferson, 1939, Washington, South Water to Market, 1937, and Cottrell, I believe I pronounced it right, Cottrell, 1938, just to highlight a few of those water mains. There's a host that were probably about 3 or 4 dozen that were also installed in 1949 that are being included in your project plan. There's also going to be some storage tower upgrades. Your tower doesn't need any work. As you know, it's relatively in good shape. And on the newer side, there are some Eagle recommendations that we included in there, as well as some mixing equipment that's going to go in your tower. Service line replacements, those included all of your lead service lines. There really is not an alternative to replacing lead service lines.
Can I ask one question on that? Does that also include the galvanized?
It would include both, yep, correct.
Okay.
Treatment plant upgrades, which include media replacement and lift and pump controls, as well as cleaning, coating the reservoir for your water, a new mixer that's going to be included in there, and SCADA controls, which gives your DPW the ability to monitor that system remotely instead of having staff on site. actively right now. Slide is your project cost total. You can see most of it is not necessarily inside your treatment plant. It's your water mains and lines that are essentially installed before 1950. So that's just under $10.5 million. Again, WM is water main, another $4 million for replacement. Your lead service lines are about $3.2 million to replace. Various upgrades at the treatment plant, and obviously WTP on that budget is items within your treatment plant, and we've broken those out. Piping in there, filter media replacement, that was $350. Lift pump and control, that was $300. Your water reservoir that I discussed earlier is budgeted at $250,000. Adding a mixer and a feed system into the treatment plant's another $150,000. Your SCADA improvements are $80 that I had mentioned. Tower improvements, which was the mixer that we had talked about, that comes in at $70. And then we added a contingency fund, which is essentially formulaic, just to make sure if there are any issues that come in underground when you're digging a lot of this up. We don't know what's under there because we don't look at it every day. Engineering and legal is a percentage set by the project cost. And the total of all of these is $26 million to do all the improvements on your water system. Financing on that. So the city qualifies as overburdened. If you recall, when I was here the last time, we went through, it's based on your existing, on your bills. Unfortunately, your median household income wasn't there, but your water bills are at 1% of your MHI, which qualifies you as overburdened. So we estimate at 2.75% interest. It's lower right now than that. This would not happen until probably a year when you would go out and bond. But at 30 years, annual payments just over $1.2 million a year. Your REUs, you have 2624 in the city. That's residential equivalency units, so it's not every particular residence. It's how it's measured based on meters. It's about $63 per month for all of this work. Now, the REU cost, as we've talked, could be reduced based on loan terms, interest rates, and then specifically the availability of grant and principal forgiveness from the SRF fund that we have talked about. Finally, the schedule. We're expected to stay on track for Q4 of 2024, which is essentially when you would borrow and go out and start the project. The date's going down. We're holding our public hearing today in May of 2023. We plan to submit the final project plan, which is due June 1st to Eagle. And then we expect approval of the project around August, September. Environmental assessments are published in April. And I thank you for allowing me to go through each of these line items, but it's important that we go through these as part of the public hearing. Part 1, Part 2 application, which is part of your SRF, would be in May. Your bid advertisement is for construction work. We expect that in in May, and then your Part 3 application, which is the final paperwork that you would do before you submit it to the state to go out to the bond market. That would be July, and then your MFA closing August. We expect construction. It's a pretty aggressive schedule. It's what we're submitting to Eagle. We can't necessarily predict that, but assuming things are moving along as they starting to right now, which is a lot smoother in construction, we hope it stays to that schedule. Any questions on that?
Miss Order, EGLE order of approval issued, I think, in the list. I mean, you're reading everything off.
Eagle, EGLE that's state Eagle.
Right.
Yep.
Went straight from Part 3 to MFA closing. In reading the list. If it's important to include that, then you might want to cover it.
Chris, I think you just skipped over it. It'd be the August 2024.
Oh, okay.
You skipped over one line.
I apologize. Thank you.
No, it's okay.
I'm glad you noted that then. Social environmental impacts of the project, we really don't anticipate any environmental impacts. It's existing infrastructure. Social impacts, despite increased user costs, there's obviously positive impacts. We talked about the age of your lines. You're going to have improved system reliability, new water mains, the looping. You're going to have water system improvements, and the water is undoubtedly going to be a higher quality because of the improvements you're making. So, happy to answer any questions on what will be submitted in June from council. Thanks.
Yep.
I'm missing something here. I was under the impression originally the state was providing this money through a grant. That's what we were applying for. Was that correct?
Yeah, that's this program. Correct. Yep.
Okay, then why am I looking at a 30-year loan for $26 million, which looks like it's gonna cost each residential unit $63 a month?
Yeah,
Who's paying for this?
we're not,
The residents.
we're not sure whether or not you're even awarded the funds yet. So this is just calculated that you would borrow all of the money. This isn't necessarily saying the city has to move forward with the project yet.
Gotcha, okay.
But we have to go over in the public hearing what it would be if you didn't receive all of the funding. Obviously, we've had discussions even last week that the likelihood that the city would move forward with all of this work is probably not going to happen based on the size of it, but it was the belief that the city wanted to take advantage of the funds that were available in the SRF this year.
I think you made it clear to us that the state revolving fund on this might be the last, is this the last time they're gonna offer this? Or this is a rare opportunity?
Very rare. The funds came from the Federal Infrastructure and Jobs Act, so they're making grant dollars available in
Right.
SRF. It's not typically the case
Right.
with that program. You borrow at a very low interest rate, and then they offer things, principal forgiveness when you do certain types of work.
Did you say that, I remember that you said it was like 75% if they gave it to us?
Up to,
Covered.
yes.
Up to,
Yep.
Too.
right.
That would be so.
It's very competitive. I mean, there's a lot of communities.
Yeah.
It's important that you're taking the step and not missing the opportunity. You can tell from the age of the system, taking this is generational. So you would want to pay it off not at one time, over multiple generations.
Previously, I thought it was at 29 million. Was that because that was a different,
You're
a different
correct.
proposal?
I remember 29. Maybe the
I mean, we're on
figures came in.
4, maybe it was 3
Yeah,
or 1.
I don't specifically remember that. There were some adjustments that
Okay.
we made with Mike on some of the priority lines to try and keep cost in line. So it may, but I don't particularly specifically remember that number. But this will be what's submitted with the final project plan.
Okay, just making sure.
Yep.
Number 2, from what I understand, the remaining infrastructure that needs replacing is all beneath roads, because we've replaced all the roads that we can that don't have infrastructure beneath them. Well, I guess, yeah, there's maybe some remaining there's some remaining infrastructure that are beside roads, under sidewalks and things like that. So, but the bulk of them are beneath roads, so the road obviously would be repaired, correct? Yeah,
Correct.
so.
Yeah, if you tear the
not
road
just
up.
the Stripe.
No.
But yes, the whole thing.
If
I just
the
wanna
road
make-
has to be torn up for it, it's repaired under the program. Right.
Okay, just want to make that
Yep.
abundantly clear, that wherever there's a line, there's a road that's under a road, the road would be repaired.
Is this just the 1930s and 40s lines that are addressed here?
No, there's some additional ones in there.
Some other ones too?
Yeah, it's a lot from 1949.
We should win on that alone.
Yeah, it's
no young
close to 24 from 49. There's some from the early 50s as well.
And that's roughly 7 miles of roads, I guess, versus our 24 total miles. I mean, I don't know how many are actually still good, or how many need to be fixed. But just for the public's reference there and what we're trying to do here. So this particular program, this is the first time this has happened? system?
No, the SRF fund has been around a while. What's happening now is the infusion of federal dollars. Then they have reworked the point system, so they've changed the way they're going through and selecting communities to fund. So the state has over $500 million in funds available in grants for this.
That was my next question. How much money is in the pool?
Yeah, total between in the SRF fund.
Okay, 500 million.
Plus, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't have the exact figure.
okay.
I mean, it was a surprising amount, let's just say,
Yeah.
than what was originally thought was going to happen, so. And clearly it's needed, there's obviously, it's not unique to Marine City. And there's a reason that they put that much funds in there. Cities with old urban cores, it's just a reality. The system's been around longer.
So has there been any feedback at all as far as what municipalities can expect versus their population or anything at all? Nothing.
I guess I'm not sure what you're asking.
Well,
Commissioner,
a basic idea of how much we can expect. Obviously, we're not going to get 26 million out of 500 being a 4,000 people municipality. So I was just wondering if you had any feedback with the state, with your guys' contacts, anything, information whatsoever.
And the program's been around. I don't think they've had the volume of submissions because of the grant dollars that are available. So they're pretty hard to get a hold of right now, and rightly so. They're real busy. But no, there hasn't been any feedback. What they're going to do is they go through and they essentially score your community. It's a competitive process, and then you'll be either in what's called a fundable range or a non-fundable range. And sometimes communities that are in the fundable range choose not to do the project. They drop off, and then everybody moves up. So everybody that was right on the end, they thank you because they moved up and to do their project.
And this interest with these numbers, where did these come from? Is this USDA or?
No, those are just an estimate. The
So
state
those
ro-
are just random
Yeah,
putting in how much?
Well, not random, but
Well, yeah.
yeah. The rate is lower right now
Okay.
from SRF. I believe it's right around 2%. This wouldn't be for a year later, so we wanted to be on the conservative side.
So hold on, so these numbers came from the SRF itself?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
loan terms for SRF?
Yeah, we wanted to be on the conservative side because we can't predict what they're going to do when you go to borrow the money to do the project. So that's why it could change. Your total could change based on interest rates.
And SRF, that's state, right?
State revolving fund, yeah. Yeah, right now it's more competitive than USDA rural development.
Okay, that's what I was kind of batting around in my head versus USDA, if this is good, bad, or.
Marielle?
I just wanted to say, I know you estimated $60 a month, that's a huge amount. I mean, that's almost that would double my bill.
That's without any of the other funding and grants. That's what we want to, yeah, and we understand that, yeah.
Then the discussion that we've had internally administratively is, in all likelihood, if we weren't able to get some offset or assistance on this, that's not a doable or workable project. It is just way,
Do less.
yeah.
Personally, it's like, gosh.
No, we'll
Yeah.
do less if we don't get the money.
We're going and asking for all, hoping to get some, but we know that's too far of a bridge to gap.
And I think it's important to say that this is just the next step. This is not a final decision.
Correct.
Yep,
Good presentation.
thanks.
Okay, anybody else, any other comments, questions?
So we wouldn't fully apply until next July?
No, this June 1st, you're going in. Your project plan, when it's submitted, that is what they're going to use to
this
score
part three is-
as to whether you're in the fundable range, and you're on the timeline, correct?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I was just looking at the part 3, so I figured that was like the final actual.
Yeah, there's the documentation as you would go through.
So, I mean, when will we get a decision?
Fundable or non-fundable?
August, September,
This August.
23 or 24?
this year,
Okay, yeah,
Yep.
receive approval of project.
correct, yep. And they'll essentially put out a big list, and it's in an Excel file, and you find out where you've scored, and then there's cutoffs, excuse me.
So that would tell us, you've scored here, and these grants may be available to you.
You'll know what's gonna be funded, correct?
Okay.
But you won't know at that time who drops off, and a lot of people drop off. They just don't, and then you move.
Sure.
And you said the interest rates were lower right now than 2.75? Is that just a reflection of bank interest rates, or what's the cause of that?
It's out of my expertise.
I just asked because
Yeah.
if it's gonna go back
It's
up.
set
at
by
a
the
certain
state.
point,
I'm
should we-
assuming they use some benchmarks. I don't, I can't speak to
And you
that
said
though.
it's 2 instead of 2.75?
Yeah, it's right around
That's a
2.
pretty big difference. So if it's gonna go back up, and when, I mean, we should
He
probably.
doesn't know.
No, I understand that, but I think we should think about
All you can do is
exploring
wait
that.
and see.
Traditionally, the
Well, we're not gonna
rates,
get all the money. What I'm saying
Then
is,
higher.
we're not gonna get $26 million. We gotta start figuring out how we're gonna take care of more of these roads. And if there's a good interest rate here, then we should look into it.
traditionally, anything in any type of the SRF projects have a more competitive rate than we can get at the market. And a lot of that is the state's pretty much putting themselves behind, and utilizing, resources. So we'll have to still look at it, but generally, whatever we can tie onto on an SRF project is gonna be better than what we can get on any other market opportunity of going it alone, so.
So this is all gonna be done at the same time. I guess that's what I was saying, is if this was separate, but you're saying these are tied together completely, whatever we get awarded from the grant, then we go to the loan amount for whatever we want.
Then there's, correct, the next
Yeah.
process.
The portion that isn't funded, if you were to receive grants, you'd have to make, as a policy decision. Now, there's certain things that you can't necessarily not do because of the way they score, but you have quite a bit of water main work throughout the city as we went over. You said, I can't remember what your percentage that you gave was, so you may be able to adjust. I'm not, I'm just not sure today until we see what comes out from Eagle.
So we would have to commit to a certain amount of loan to apply to the project in order to get the grant?
I think, Chris, your steps are, I believe if you're in that funding realm and you're going to get funded, you'll know what level you may be, and then we're gonna have to come back and have discussion. If it's not this full amount, do we continue at a lower, reduced amount? So there are a couple different steps, I guess, that we would go through before we get to that point of, here's our bottom line, here's money, any money that we get, or we get no money, those type of things to look at. What percentage, what portion, you may have to pick through if we don't get the whole portion. Can we do something? I think if that's correct, Chris, it really depends on the funding piece. Are we able to be funded, and at what percentage? And then, Bobby made a good point, others will fall off. We may not know that in the first piece. We may have a number that says you're here, and that number could change to our benefit.
So we have no obligation to take out a loan to get the grant funds? Okay, that's all I want.
Nothing at this point. Yeah, this is just your project to figure out. Your plan goes in to determine whether or not you score high enough, amongst all the other communities around the state doing it. And that's when you would make those decisions towards the fall if you're going to move forward with the project.
I think in previous similar programs and funding programs, there were a number of communities that were initially funded and couldn't come up with any type of match portion, and those are the ones that fell off, and several others were able to benefit at that point, even at a reduced project. So we have to kind of just wait step by step.
So that to me sounds like, yes, we would need a loan to cover the matching funds unless we couldn't come up with them. That's it.
Yeah, no, all
Yeah, you will
depends on-
borrow.
That's exactly what I just
There's
asked.
a
You will borrow from SRF,
Yeah.
yeah, to do a project that is,
There's a borrowing component that, again,
Okay,
we're gonna have to
so
look and see
my
what
answer
that piece would be.
Okay, so yes, we're expected to come up with matching funds to go with the grant. And if we can't do that, then we will get kicked off the list.
There's always going to be some portion, because this is, what, 75%?
yeah, up to, yeah.
So.
Up to
Up to. So there's still that remaining portion that you'll have to come up with additional funding.
But you can also, Mike, adjust the scope of your project anytime you want. And, you don't have to do this whole thing. You can
No,
s-
I understand.
Yeah, we can
I
scale
understand
down.
that.
There's just some things we can't get rid of.
Like if they come back, they offer us whatever,
Yeah.
5 million, that would be great. And then we gotta come up with 25% of that?
and you can borrow that at the low interest rate from SRF.
And we'd be required to do that to get the funds?
Yes.
Okay, so I didn't get
Yes.
an adequate answer
Okay.
from the question. Now I do, though. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, there's multiple pieces. There's still a piece that the city is ultimately going to be responsible for, that we're going to have to find a funding source, whether it be an SRF loan or some type
You
of
have
bonding.
to take out a loan
process.
to get.
And you
the
did that
funds.
for your
Yes.
water tower previously, when you did a new water tower. So, yeah, you had used this program.
Mary Ellen?
And we already have drinking water revolving fund bonds right now for the water plant. And those are gonna be paid off in the fiscal year ending 2026. Just as, I'm just putting that out to you guys.
Yeah.
To know that that bond will be paid off. And that's the last bond that we have on the water and sewer.
And what's the payment on that?
Well, the principal is $145,000,
Oh, that's,
but, and you have interest too. and that's
yeah, that's not that significant.
expense too.
Okay. So we're still in the public hearing,
Yes.
Madam Mayor.
Are we good now? Is there anybody else? Anybody else? Okay, hearing and seeing none, public hearing is now closed at 8:16. Item 10F, Resolution 14, 2023, project planning for water system improvements and funding from Michigan Drinking Water State Revolving Funds. Can I get a motion to approve Resolution 14, 2023 to adopt the project planning document for water system improvements and seeking funding from the Michigan Drinking Water State Revolving Fund?
I'll make a motion, we approve resolution number 014-2023.
Support.
Motion and support. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hendrick,
Yes.
Commissioner Hilfrank,
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Rourke,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Mayor Vandembosch,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, on to item 11A under new business. DPW Superintendent Contract for Jeff Schmidt.
Mayor, Commissioners, Mr. Edrich couldn't be here today. He was planning on being here. Yesterday was actually his last official day. We still have him being a resource for us on some of the reviews, but he had a family emergency this evening, could not be here. So on one hand, we congratulate him on his retirement. As I provided in the memo, Mike led the process on reviewing the submitted applications. I then joined him for interviews of the top 3 candidates, and it was recommendation to make a conditional offer of employment to Mr. Jeffrey Schmidt. Mr. Schmidt is here this evening. I'd like to introduce him. He has a great hairstyle, similar to mine. You'll find him in the back row. He comes with quite a bit of experience, having most recently been the Director of Public Services with the City of Roseville. So again, I think he's very qualified for the position. We've reviewed the proposed employment agreement with Mr. Davis. It's a template agreement. And again, we can answer any questions. I'm willing to answer any questions, or if there's questions on the agreement, Mr. Davis can answer those. And it's the Commission's pleasure at this time.
Can I have a motion to approve the employment agreement between the City of Marine City and Jeffrey Schmidt as presented with the starting date of May 19th, 2023?
So moved.
Support.
Motion and a support, and now any other discussion?
I'd just like to say welcome. Very impressive, and it's nice that we're going to replace somebody that had a lot of experience with somebody that's got a lot of experience to boot.
Well, there's a lot to learn here in Marine City. The lake has so much history and knowledge up here
Yeah.
that right now it's like pouring a 5-gallon bucket into a Dixie cup. I'm trying to absorb as much as I can from what he has to offer, so
Yes,
that's
yes.
great. I'm excited to be here.
Excellent.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is Mike helping out with the transition still, or?
Yeah.
He still is. yes.
Okay.
Are there agreed to terms there, or?
There will be an item coming to you, very simple terms for the June 1st meeting.
Okay.
Again, to be able to keep him on board, because there is a provision for a licensing and a transition period.
Okay.
But I assure you that in conversations that Mike and I have had, certainly much better, make sure our engineer friends are not in the building, much better than what we could do through a private engineering firm, especially with the history they have. So I'll have something for you.
Okay.
Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Hillfrank.
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Commissioner Rourke.
Yes.
Commissioner Ross.
Yes.
Mayor Vandembosh.
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson.
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome.
All right, on to item 11B. That is the 135 North Sixth Street demolition per Dangerous Building Board of Appeals. And
So it's my understanding this is here solely because the structure at issue hasn't technically met the criteria for demolition because there's been no final grade or seating, but talking to the property owner and hearing the stories about the contractors and the 7-day rain that we had, the contractors couldn't get out there and do a stable final cover. So the property owner is here. I think the discretion of this board is just to order that the work get done and that this matter be concluded.
I mean, I went by it. It's, everything. There's no hole. There's just some concrete, and he's
Yeah.
just gotta
It's
finish
technically,
grading.
it's technically under your ordinance not yet completed because of the, and you know the final step.
Well, we're supposed to plant grass and put some straw over it. We haven't been able to do that because of the rain, and the contractors can't get in there, couldn't get any sand from the pit, they wouldn't. And we just ran into a hard time, but I told you I'd tear the house down, I did. And we will finish that as quick as we can. And then it'll be all done, and whoever around that's bitching about it, they can go fly a kite.
There's,
Besides,
how much time do you need, sir?
I'd say a couple of weeks.
So maybe the board would be inclined to give 21 days for this work to be completed.
Okay.
Sure. By 2 meetings from now or something? I don't know.
We don't even need that.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we give the owner of the 135 North Sixth Street parcel 21 days to complete the demolition process.
Yeah, the final components of demolition.
Final components of demolition.
Support.
Okay.
If I decide to plow that up and put a garden in there, you're gonna get no flack back from you people, are we?
What are you gonna grow?
Corn, beans, carrots?
Just
Give
here.
it to the people in Marine City that need it?
A community garden?
Well, I think
Community garden?
I think you'd have to check with the building official on
Yeah,
it.
maybe I'll check with what?
I don't know if that constitutes the final step for demolition. Maybe what you should do, sir, is,
I always thought that demolition means that you tear a building down.
I understand
It
it,
has
but
nothing to do with the land. It is my property, right? Oh, by the way, are you guys gonna waive the taxes that are due in the summer?
It's as of the value of
December 31st.
the property's valued back in December. But let's go back to your other question. So why don't you do this? We're giving you 21, the board is giving you 21 days. Just complete what the demolition rules say.
I'm just giving you a hard time. 21 days is
I'm
fine.
feeling it. And then thereafter, if you want to do the garden thing, then,
Yeah, I was thinking,
Yeah.
a lot of things to do, bring ponies in there, have a little sawhorse for the kids in Marine City to ride. There's all kinds of things you can do with the property now.
all right, we're good then. Did we make a motion?
Yes.
Yep, and,
Seconded.
We got a second.
all right,
yes.
roll call, please.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Commissioner Rourke.
Yes.
Commissioner Ross.
Yes.
Mayor Vandembosh.
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson.
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick.
Yep.
Commissioner Hillfrank.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you for your cooperation on this.
I'm excited about the ponies.
I want to go on the pony ride.
Okay, item 11C, the FOIA policy procedure guidelines. Attorney David?
So I know this was exciting reading for all of you, and voluminous, but it is what it has to be. The state does require that you maintain a written FOIA policy, procedure, and guideline. It also requires that you do a reader-friendly summary, which is also in there, and that you have the opportunity to create your own forms and I think what it does for you is it should be approved and it should go on your website. There should be a link so that everyone is aware that you are complying with the FOIA law in the state of Michigan and you have your policy in place. And then it gives some consistency to your staff as to as how to manage FOIA requests. And that's that. I mean, I'm not. This isn't something that's discretionary. You have to have a policy in place.
We were always told that we had a policy, so obviously we didn't.
You have one, but it
Lacks a lot. Putting it nicely.
I would prefer that you go with the one, the one that is before you has been tried and tested and.
Oh, no, I agree. I'm just saying, we've been told so many times that, here's one of my questions. Are we gonna start making these forms accessible online so that people can get them?
And fill them out.
They are.
Yes, so, I mean, fill them out online.
That too.
Yeah.
And additional forms, we're going to try to get as much as we can.
Okay.
2023, and we really want to
Yeah.
try to put as much out there. That is a one click away. So that will be a task that will be undertaken when the new clerk gets on board in the very near future.
So your question really is, can somebody just go online and type in a FOIA request, right, Lisa?
Well, pull up these forms.
Pull up the
Any
forms,
form.
yeah. Yeah, and that's the goal. That's the goal on these.
Yeah, and that's the way it should be.
All right, I always have a question. I notice on these forms that there's a address and a phone number and all that, but where's the email address? You should have an email address on there also. I didn't see one on them, and some of the other forms have them, but not on these FOIA ones. Has a phone and a fax.
That's what's
which-
required under the law. Phone
Fine.
and fax.
Yeah,
But there
don't we
should be an
wanna?
email, whoever gets it, who normally gets it, the clerk?
The clerk
Then
is the FOIA coordinator
Then
as
it
of
should
now.
have that email
Well,
address on it, right?
Hang on a second. Okay, so it's very important that the clerk's office know when a FOIA is being received. So the law so far says that if you get a FOIA by fax, it's considered received the next day. The law hasn't caught up with email on, if you get a FOIA request by email, whether it's that day or the day after, I presume it's that day.
I thought they had covered that already.
It's a little, they covered fax.
Yeah, but I remember reading
Well-
on, even if
Well-
you emailed that you had, they picked a date.
Can we make a thing for it?
Yeah, we'll put the email on there, but I just want, you know, I don't want to get into these disputes where we're battling over when was it received.
Okay.
But we'll put the email on there.
All right, and then can we make one? So, just like the fax, it's considered received the next day, or?
I'll check the law on that. We can't do, there's nothing in this policy that it drifts from the law.
Okay,
So I'll check with the clerk on that.
that's pretty bad,
What?
that emails aren't accepted in this.
Well, I'm not saying they're not,
Well, there's
we have
not a rule
communities-
for it.
Yeah, I'm just not sure the FOIA law has caught up with that fully. I mean, how many people fax things?
A lot of people still do,
Ah.
but,
I
yeah,
do,
Who does?
I do.
Yeah.
but it's not,
Weird things
it's
about
not as stuff that.
Who said that? Who said that?
Email.
Is that, Jacob, did you say you did?
I'm old.
Yeah. Well, you and I were chatting on MySpace the other night. That was,
But yeah, we should get into at least the 20th century.
all right, so anyways. This is good for both sides. These policies are good for your citizens and they're good for the community.
Yes.
I got a question, Bob. In all your travels, have you ever heard of a legislative body exemption for a FOIA request? Just like if we want to get information in a reasonable request, obviously. Would,
Whether or not you can submit a FOIA request?
no, just that we wouldn't have to.
Well, in your capacity as a,
Or maybe a reduced or no fee or something, just because I know that in the past with this commission, there's been information that some people on the board have wanted that they really shouldn't have had to FOIA.
Yes, I was requested to FOIA several times.
well,
So I'd like to get in front of that and like eliminate that whole issue.
I can look that up, Mike, but I mean, my opinion is that if you're gonna function as an elected board member, you have to have access to the information
That's what I'm saying.
that you believe is necessary to carry out.
True.
Like I shouldn't,
Your
if
job.
I ask for something, I shouldn't be told, oh, well, you're gonna have to FOIA that. But in the past, that has happened. So I think
It's happened to you?
Not to me, I wasn't here.
Oh, all
It's
right.
happened to me, I got the email still to prove it, but that's been an issue because then I've had to go to you to try to get the stuff, and
And I
sometimes
usually-
I've been denied it.
Yeah, and I usually got it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you need to have access to any document that helps you do your job.
Yeah, I mean, I would
That would be my test.
I know you had it in here somewhere that, you know, we could make any document not required to be FOIA'd as a board, but that doesn't help the minority on the board from getting information, you know what I mean? So I would like something in there just to protect us in the future from overbearing individuals.
I think that needs to stay out of this and in your policies and procedures, that elected members of the board have access to information necessary to carry out the functions.
And I was going to mention that because one of our topics, hopefully for an upcoming workshop.
Yeah, we were actually.
Is the commission meeting policies, procedures, protocol. So I'll add that note in there too. That's a perfect place to put it.
Sounds good.
Great.
Good thought, Mike. Anyways, it would be helpful if we passed this and put it on our system.
I'll make a motion that we approve the FOIA procedures and guidelines presented tonight by our city attorney.
Support.
Okay, motion support, and can I get roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Rourke,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Mayor Vandembosch,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson,
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick,
Yep.
Commissioner Hillfrank,
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, on to 11D, board vacancies. And I believe City Manager Atkins want to talk on that?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Commissioners, I believe that you're all aware that we have been trying to solicit interested residents to serve on various committees and boards that we have. There was an initial request for people to apply, and I believe at least a line in the sand said we'd like to have these by May 10th. I can tell you out of all of the vacancies we have, and you have a copy there, Community Economic Development Board, 1 vacancy, Planning Commission, 3 vacancies, Tifa Board, 1 vacancy, and Library Board, 1 vacancy. We received 1 application, 1 interested party, and I believe it was for Community Economic Development Board. I'd like to just ask for consideration from the commission to be able to extend this out for at least another month to the end of June. I'd also like to employ using our local media sources to, in a recap, perhaps to say we're looking for interested parties to serve, and we'd also like to put it out on our city website in a prominent location. But I think right now, with only having 1, we still need more. We welcome all folks in the city to apply, and if you'll allow that courtesy for us to go until the end of June, that would be very helpful.
I'd be happy to make a motion that we extend the board vacancy submission date until the end of June.
Support.
Okay, any other further discussion?
Yeah, I thought we were gonna discuss this, I forgot myself, in the workshop today, as far as combining some boards, so that might make some of this moot.
That is another item that we have for one of the workshop pieces too to talk about, because I think that we need to talk about the combination that's been brought up by several of you, and also looking forward, I think it pairs well after that first portion of June, when we're gonna be talking about the master plan. There's some things likely to come up of potential future boards. I think some of you have addressed those things too, about downtown development authorities, all of that. So I think that's a good conversation for us to have in the very near future, to be able to try to look at this. And again, I think that'll help us gauge where we're at on any input. That may give us some answers too, so.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We have no items removed from the consent agenda, so we're on 13A, City Attorney Report.
I'm good, thank you very much.
All right. Moving on to 13B, the City Manager Report.
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioners, thank you. A lot of good input this evening and comments. I've got a lot of notes. I just want to give a little shout out. We do have some items on our city calendar. Check the city calendar, which is on our website on the homepage. And in the earliest order, coming up here on Saturday, the 20th, 10 a.m., have a dedication of the gazebo, Friends of City Hall, at the old City Hall. And don't forget, right around the corner, not too very far, I think the 29th is Memorial Day this year, and the parade, 10 a.m. So we want to certainly invite everyone to try to attend those 2 events. Also, Mr. Schmidt, welcome aboard. Look forward to working with you. Love the hairstyle. And I look forward to our upcoming workshops. I hope that that's beneficial as we've started, and we continue to do that, and we pick away at little pieces of progress each time. So thank you all for your comments, concerns. And then last but not least, Mary Ellen McDonald, thank you very much for your help in the budget. I know that you came in at a time with a lot of things going in different directions. Appreciate your help, you being here tonight. Christina, those of you that may not have met Christina, man, she's our administrative clerk in the office. She has been doing a lot of finance work, so we welcome her aboard, and for her help on learning. We haven't scared you away in the budget process, I hope. So thank you both very much.
Just a clarification, are you certain it's at 10 or is it at 2?
What, the parade?
Oh, I'm sorry, I do apologize. You're correct. It's 10 o'clock for the parade on the 29th, 2 p.m. We're making a change. We noticed it said 2 a.m., by the way, on our website. Not 2 a.m., 2 p.m. for the gazebo dedication. If you hang out all night,
Dedication
it's
at
not a
2
social district. You might get in trouble. Yeah, it is. Thank you, Commissioner. The gazebo dedication this Saturday, the 20th, at 2 p.m., not a.m., as on the website. We'll get that changed tomorrow, or as soon as, or tonight. I got a guy. We all have a guy. This is my guy. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, 13C, any reports from department heads? Don't believe we.
You ready?
Jumping and go. All right, on to 14, Commissioner Privilege and Liaison Reports. Start with Commissioner Clausen.
We haven't had a planning commission meetings coming up. They're still working on the maps. And the Rotary Club had their flower sale last weekend, and I guess the Garden Club is having theirs this weekend. So support the city, and hopefully the weather picks up, we don't get another hard frost. That's all I have.
All right, Commissioner Bryson.
I have nothing tonight.
Okay, Commissioner Helfrich.
Just for me, I'm going to thank Mary Ellen for helping us out. That initial conversation I had with you was, you were so gracious, so kind through the whole conversation, and just, you have so much respect in this community. It's amazing. And I don't know if you saw the last meeting I mentioned, but I do really consider you, I think a lot of people consider you the mother of Marine City, really, really. So, thank you.
That's it. Okay.
Commissioner Ross.
Again, thank you, Mary Ellen. Thank you, Christina. Thanks, everybody, for all the hard work you've done to get us where we are. Welcome, Jeff. Very excited to have you aboard. Yes, please do come to the dedication ceremony. It's very exciting. The gazebo, or bandstand, I should say. Nix that from the minutes. The bandstand is complete, looking very good. Thanks to Marine City Nursery for doing all the flower bed arrangement around the outside. Thanks to our DPW for doing a bunch of work over there this morning. As I was walking to the Riviera, I saw him out there. So thank you all, and yeah, see you there this weekend. Have a great week.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Rourke.
I'd just like to thank Jeff and welcome him aboard, and I'm sure he'll have a lot of fun. And I hope everybody got through the frost, and things will be better, at least after Memorial Day, right? That's the traditional time to not get too excited about more frost. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Commissioner Hendrick.
All right, we had a fire authority meeting last night. We approved our budget. Joe was able to hook one more person to hire, and he's applying for another small grant. Hopefully we'll get a few of those coming in the door. And Mary Ellen, I'll have to show you one day. I found a 1986 calendar that the city put out. Have you seen it? Your picture's in there. Diana Cade's in there, and everybody's in there. It's really, and Mike's in there from 1986. It's really an interesting. Yeah. It was funny. I found that the other day. Anyway, and don't forget the Memorial Day Parade. Jesse does a great job putting this on Monday, May 29th from 10 to 12. And it's the usual route downtown, and hopefully the weather will cooperate. That's it.
Thank you. I just have a couple quick things. Everyone else, welcome, Jeff. Yep, thank you for coming, and Christina, I see you here, and thank you, Mary Ellen, for all of your hard work and coming back and helping us with everything that you've been doing. We were hoping Mike would have been able to be here too, because we were gonna surprise him, with something tonight, proclamation, so hopefully we'll be able to get him back to another meeting, so we could do that. A couple Saturdays ago, we did the Little League ceremonies ball throw, and we were hoping to get Mike there, because I was gonna break tradition, and we had it planned where, he was actually gonna join me for the first pitch, and he had something come up, he couldn't be there, so we're gonna get him one of these times. A couple other quick things, the Marine City varsity baseball team are the MAC Gold champions, so congratulations to them. And Jesse White is looking for help placing the flags at cemeteries this weekend. So at 9 o'clock, if you want to contact him, or if you could just show up at Woodlawn, Holy Cross, or Roselawn cemeteries. They're doing the flags for the veterans at the cemeteries. And I hope to see people at the dedication of the new bandstand on Saturday at 2 o'clock. Nothing else?
Thank you, Mike, again.
All right, and hey, motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
2 a.m.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Wow, how good.